Yogi Snack. Ow. Today we're going to look at child's pose and what to do if child's pose isn't that comfortable for you. That's right. Child's pose is not comfortable for everybody, so finding ways to make it work for you so that you can actually get the benefit of the pose, which is a deep relaxation. Now, some people do not have very mobile ankles and they are unable to dorsiflex their foot a lot, so they end up with this curve here. Now, if you are unable to straighten that out, then a child's pose isn't necessarily going to be the most comfortable thing to come into. There are a couple of ways you can approach that. You can have your toes tucked, although not everyone's toes are super flexible, so that can be uncomfortable too. And you can child's pose down with the toes tucked. Or you can give those ankles some support by having a rolled up blanket to cradle. And you can have it as rolled up as you like to give you as much support as you like, which then allows you to come down. Now, another thing is, not everyone has the mobility around the knees to actually have this connection of thigh to calf muscle. Maybe you've just got a little bit of issue in the knees and you need a bit more openness in the knees. So popping a little blanket right up into the crook of the knees can give the knees more space, and that might be more comfortable for you. And allow you to get down there with that support. Now you could have the knee blanket, the ankle blanket. It's all good. Or maybe it's more about the folding forward. Now, whether you child's pose with your knees completely together, slightly parted, or wide-legged depends on what you're after. Knees slightly parted or together is basically the same thing. Wide-legged is a completely different child's pose. We'll talk about that in a minute. At the moment, we're just looking at knees hip width apart or closed out. Now, for some people, coming all the way to the ground is just not going to happen again because of whatever's going on with the knees. So having supports under the chest and the forehead can allow you to just soften. And that can be a really, really relaxing way to approach your child's pose. You can have all the other props as well that we've just talked about. A bolster, bringing it right in, squeezing it in. You can do a completely supported child's pose like this. All of these things are great. I hope you heard that. I just realized that I probably just banged the mic. So you can have a completely supported child's pose like that. Another thing, if knees, hips, ankles not super comfy, being able to child's pose with a bolster to sit your hips back into might be the way to go. You might also want that support of a rolled up blanket underneath your ankles. So there's another way. You can go the whole hog and have the rest of the support as well. So now you've lifted your child's pose. You get to relax and surrender. You're supported and you're held. The idea of knees together child's pose is to round the back so that you can gently stretch the spine, the back of the hips. Wide-legged is completely different. That's more about stretching the back in the other direction and allowing the chest to come down to the ground. So wide-legged child's pose, as you can see, can be a lot more challenging for some people, more comfortable for others. So again, you can always have the support of your props, your bolsters, your blocks. I prefer 2 blocks because I just feel like it's a nice solid support. A bolster can be lovely too, but it can be harder to have the head facing down.
There's nothing wrong with turning your head to the side though.
So there you have it. Those are a few ways you can modify your child's pose to make it comfortable for you if you find that child's pose isn't necessarily the relaxing pose it's advertised to be. Have a play around with it, even if child's pose is super comfy for you. Have a play with it anyway, because you might find that you enjoy it and it gives you something different in your practice. Plus, for restorative yoga, it is bellissimo. I will see you again soon. Have a fab day.